What's going on, everybody? Eddie Dowd, joined again by Brian Sachs. I'm a Maryland real estate agent. He's a Maryland mortgage lender, as well as many other states. We're here today to talk about some horror stories, what not to do. One thing is, if you're about to close on a house, you don't want to go out and buy a couch, maybe, or you might be sleeping in the box that couch came in.
Yikes.
Brian, I know that you've been in the business a lot longer than I have. What are some horror stories that you've seen, some mistakes that people have made that have hindered them from buying a house when they may have already been in the process? And what how can our listeners, our viewers learn from those?
Well, so we actually give all of our clients a list of 10 things to do and 10 things not to do when you're buying a house. So, one of the things you don't want to do is you don't want to go out and buy a car, make a big purchase, buy furniture, do all that after you get into a house. You don't want to be lending your friends money, especially if you need it for your down payment and closing. You don't want to change jobs. And even worse, you don't want to change careers. I've had clients actually decide they're going to be self employed, coming from a salary job. They were going to start a business right in the middle of loan approval. Not a good time to do that. But I'm going to tell you some horror stories. I know a couple, two that just always will stay with me. I did a loan for someone, Eddie, and this is years ago. And that person got a significant amount of savings. Him and his wife had sold their house. They had a lot of equity in the house. The guy put the money in the bank. He was closing on his house, and then 3 days later, closing on the new one I was doing the mortgage on. He went, it was May. I'll never forget the day. He went to Pimlico, was going to parlay his $28,000 in proceeds and lost it all. And I really wasn't what I was afraid of. Obviously, he's not going to be able to get a house. But what I was afraid of is that his wife would wind up in jail because she was going to kill him. I'm sure they divorced. I don't know if she killed him or not. They definitely did not buy the new house. And I don't know if they're sleeping in a cardboard box or what. But I'll tell you the wildest story. Okay. That's not even wild. I have two wilder ones than that. I have one wild story where the gentleman, I can tell you his name because I remember it. This happened in 1987 or 88, but I still remember his name. Okay. His name was Michael McCormick. He was a veteran. His wife was a branch manager of a Carrollton bank, which was a bank that's been bought up since, but it was a small bank. They had branches in Pikesville and downtown and a couple other places. He was short funds to close. And what he did was he went to Owings Mills Mall, which was a beautiful mall at the time. It was fairly new. He robbed a lady in the parking lot at gunpoint. He stole money from her, but that was just chump change. He stole her checkbook and cashed a check to himself for $8,000. At that time, you didn't need to show source of funds. He just came to my office, showed me that he had 8,000 in the bank, and we were good to go. And the night before settlement, I was watching TV, and the headline on TV was 9-year veteran of the Baltimore City Police Force arrested for armed robbery in Owings Mills. And it was a picture of him coming out in handcuffs out of the paddy wagon.
I
So
knew it was going to be bad when you told me the name. I'm like, oh, if you're telling me the guy's name, then this went public.
yeah, it was very public. It was on the news, and
Yeah.
it was a shame because his wife was really sweet. He had a little baby. But yeah, I mean, my clients get their closing costs no matter what they need to do, they always get the money. So that's what he did. Um, I actually had another lady in Owings Mills, Randallstown, actually. She bought in right off of Winans Road. It's called Old Mill Estates. But talk about scary. So you have to think back in time. This is also in the 80s. There are no computers, there are no cell phones, there aren't even really fax machines yet. Okay. So, in terms of communications, it's zero. Okay. It's payphones. And one day I'm in my office, and two gentlemen in what you would say would be a very bad generalization of what an FBI agent looks like in a trench coat, glasses, and a dark suit come in, and they're looking for me. And I'm going, okie dokie. What did I try to do? Well, to clarify, they were not from the FBI. They were from the Secret Service. And they spoke to my manager. They were in his office for quite a long time. He called me out and he said, "These gentlemen are here to see you." I go, I don't understand. Did I try to like kill the president in my sleep? What happened? You know? Well, they told me that one of my buyers had committed really identity theft, I guess is what it would be. And her whole application was fraudulent. Her name was not her name. Her social security was not her social security. Her income was not her income. But you have to remember back then, we had a credit report, we had all these things, and they start interrogating me saying, "We know you were a part of this and you knew about it," and blah, blah, blah. And after hours of that, I said, "Look, if you're going to lock me up, let's go. I'm done." But I have no way of knowing. Everything matched. The social security number she gave me matched the credit report, matched the W-2 she gave me, matched the verification of employment. The whole thing was bogus. And she had just gotten out of jail for doing it before. She had taken someone's identity and run up like a couple $100,000 in bills. So she did it again. So at the end of the day, no one charged me with anything because I had no idea. And I said to the guy, I said, "There's nothing on the application that says, are there any other social securities or identities you'd like to disclose to me?" Everything matched. It went through a processor, it went through an underwriter, it went through quality control. I don't, and then they said to me, "Will you come
So
testify?"
why was it the Secret Service that came? They handle those matters?
Good, right. It's not the FBI. When there is bank fraud, it's the Secret Service that gets involved.
Oh, didn't know
I
that.
didn't know that. I didn't know that either. I found it out in a very unpleasant way. Uh, but yeah, I mean, there are horror stories. The bottom line is don't change anything when you're looking to buy a house or looking to get a loan. Don't change jobs, don't change careers, don't put big lumps of sum of money in the bank. Don't take big lumps of sum of money out of the bank unless we can document where it's coming from. And for God's sake, that's not the time to go buy a car or start your own business.
Or
So,
rob a bank.
or rob a bank, unless you're very confident that you can get away with it. And if you're robbing a bank, you won't need a mortgage, so you'll be good. But yeah, those are my horror stories, Eddie. I've got more horror stories, but when I was a real estate agent, I was actually showing a house during the day, and two ladies in the home were doing some very unsavory things in their apartment. I've been bitten by a dog. I mean, I could tell you stories after stories. But yeah, you see it all in real estate. It's pretty interesting, sometimes very scary business.
Yeah, I've seen some things, but I think some of my stories are a little bit more recent since I've only been in the business, a little younger than you. So, I'll wait a couple years and start telling them when time has passed. That way, that person's talking about me.
Yep, yep, yep. I wonder what
Oh,
happened to some of these characters. I'm sure that guy that lost his money at the racetrack, his wife, if she didn't divorce him, she killed him. I mean,
yeah.
she was at a pitch I'd never heard before and never heard since, and she had every right to be.
Shoo, that is stressful. But one thing to stress in this is you don't have to make your own game plan. A lot of people are going along making their own game plan, whether it's going to Pimlico or robbing a lady in Owings Mills or uh, just committing complete fraud. You don't have to do that. We can set you up with a game plan if you give us a call. So we do that for folks all the time. So before you think about, taking all your life savings to Pimlico, or you think about committing a major crime, you might want to think about giving us a call. We can set you up with a game plan, whether it's, today or tomorrow. It'll be a lot better than the results of some of the folks that we talked about today. And you got that little bit of money, start putting it away in your home funded. We talk about it every week, like a GoFundMe page. You put your money in there, have your friends, your family put the money in there, and I guess, hey, you could say, hey, look at these stories. I'm going to do this. If you don't contribute to it, you can maybe do a little blackmail.
There you go. There you go.
Um,
How
but
do they
but
reach
yeah,
you, Eddie?
they can reach me by calling 410-588-6536. Brian, before they go out and they rob an old lady, how can they reach you to get a game plan?
443-471-8557. And if you do decide you're going to rob somebody, call us and we'll hook you up with a bail bondsman.
Yep. All right. We will be back next week. Hope you guys give us a call. Don't commit any mischief trying to get a home, because there's an easier way, and that's giving us a call. Talk to you guys soon.